Yeah, Henry Bushnell from Yahoo Sports in the U.S. John, I guess I'm assuming you've watched the U.S.-Mexico game, either maybe some of it live or watching it back. I guess two-part question. One, how did you see that U.S. team evolve from when you played them in qualifying, if at all? And two, do you expect any of the craziness and extracurriculars that we saw in that game on Sunday, tomorrow?
Yeah, it was a great game for the fans. It was had a little bit of everything, but that spice and energy that's always there when Mexico USA play. I think everyone loves that. I'm waiting for it, and usually there's a bit of spice and energy with Canada and the US. So that rivalry's been getting stronger. Obviously the US have done some amazing things over the last 20 odd years. Picked up a lot of hardware, and I think are now the leaders in Concacaf in the way they develop football, they run their professional leagues, the depth of their squads, the way they organise their youth program, the opportunities they give their players. It's a top level. So I think when I look at this game and compare it to the other night, I know there won't be 70,000 Canadians in the stadium, sort of winding it up. But I think you can expect it'll be heated, and it's a final. It's both teams will just be pushing each other to their limits.
Hi, John. Archbell with Concacaf.com. Good to see you. Tomorrow night's going to be a special night because it's the final, of course, but also for Atiba Hutchinson. Can you just talk about what does Atiba Hutchinson, what has he meant to Canada soccer?
Oh, man. I mean, what he's meant to this game, you just got to go back to that moment we qualified and he came on in the 70th minute. I mean, he's in his home stadium. It was a qualification match. He just played 90 minutes against Costa Rica. We still needed to get a result in that game, and I remember having the conversation to say, look, you won't be playing this match. I need some fresh legs in there, and what he means is just what he is, just the humility, whatever it takes, whatever the team needs. But then in the 75th minute when he comes on, the whole stadium erupted. Atiba. And that's what he means to our country. I think, he's probably the greatest Canadian football player not many people know about. I mean, that was the reality up until probably this World Cup, and people got to see him for who he really is. That Belgium game, leading his team in a really fearless way. But I just really hope we can keep hold of the 20-odd years of experience, organizational knowledge in our organization, either as a coach, an administrator, a leader, and then on the other side of that, he's exactly what this country needs with the character that he has. He's everything for the team, he's everything for the country, he's everything for the people, the players, and nothing for him. He wants nothing else but to see this country do well. And he's willing to sacrifice for that as well. So it'll be a privilege to spend that night, tomorrow night, with him. And, our gift to him will be to help him put his hands on that silverware. I mean, that would be a special moment.
Joshua Cloak, The Athletic. John, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
2 questions, if you don't mind. First one, I've noticed this week there seems to be a concerted move away from talking about brotherhood and good vibes and more talking about just winning at all costs. Was that a concerted effort from you and the team?
I don't think it's a concerted effort, but winning is a big part of the narrative. It's the next step for this team to win consistently, and trophies are important. It's a good generation of players. As you say, arguably it's not the best squad of players in CONCACAF. There's a better squad, maybe 2 in CONCACAF, but it's a generational group that can win things. We believe we can win things. we know the brotherhood is the foundation that gives us that little bit extra, and we'll need that extra coming up against a high-quality US team. But the winning narrative is just what we all believe, that you play to win. You know, we don't play to perform well. I mean, that's an important part, that we want to excite our fans, but you know, lifting the silverware and creating history, pioneering again and again is what we signed up for. And if we want to do what we want to do in 2026, you've got to build the trust in your ability, and that comes with winning big moments like tomorrow night.
Second one, if you don't mind. When Ismail is at his best, what's he doing for you?
Yeah, I mean, when he's at his best is what you've seen in March. I think you know, you're getting two different Ismails. The Ismail in March was coming in hot off a championship, playing consistently in a team that was pushing for promotion. He was in the midst of the pressure, and he'd been fighting for his spot, earned his spot, and then came into that camp with just a different level of confidence. I mean, there were levels in that camp, and he was right at the top level, up there with, you know, some of our top players. But this Isma is a bit different. I mean, he's been off since May the 8th, and he's been training in Quebec with a League One Quebec team, you know, pick up soccer and his individual programming, and now he's going to step on the field with his brothers to try and win a trophy. So for that first game, he was finding his feet. That was you know, what I said is it's what they needed. They needed to know they had to play quicker. They needed to move into position quicker. They had to recover quicker after we reviewed the game. But he needed that. So I think for this match, the rust will be off, and you know, that Ismail is the guy that's breaking lines. It's the guy that's, you know, feeling like he's got his chest out for the whole game, and he's a guy who can really hurt teams. A threat from midfield that, you know, I think we've been missing.
Coach Herdman, Diego Peña from Twitter. Nice to meet you. And finishing in the first place of the octagonal in Concacaf, return to the World Cup, and even right now return to the final in Concacaf. It means that your process is success, or it's necessary, the winning trophies, to name success this process in Canada?
I think it's necessary. You have to embrace that. You know, we can't hide from it. I mean, the expectation is on the US, but for Canada, there's big expectation for us. We believe that this group, this team of people can deliver. So you can't hide from that. We're gonna have a home World Cup in 3 years, the biggest opportunity to ever land in, I think, any of these players' lives. My life as a coach, the media's life. I mean, it's the biggest event on the planet, and when you're playing in Canada at a home World Cup, you've got to win. Big matches, bigger than this one. So the starting point is just bringing that future to the now and making sure that what they feel after the game in the dressing room is that it was a performance. They just left everything out there, that they played fearlessly, and they played to win. And they gave themselves the best chance to win, and there's no regrets on that. The football gods will decide whether they want to give us this trophy now or make us wait another year or two. But we know what we can control, and there's some things in that Panama game that we needed to tighten up and take more control. And hopefully there's some improvement in this game that gives us the shot at the trophy.
Hey, John. Doug McIntyre from FoxSports.com. You got to know Greg Berhalter pretty well over the last 5 years. Curious what your reaction was when you heard that he was coming back to coach the U.S. team. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was a great decision. I got to know Greg pretty well over that period of time. He's a wonderful human being. I think he's done a very good job with the program. You can sense the players had bought into what he was doing. I think he takes a lot of grief off the fans here, for what reason I'm not sure, but I thought that was a great appointment. He knows the game inside out here. He's passionate. He knows the player pools. He understands Concacaf. And I think in that World Cup, that performance against England was right up there. I mean, that was a solid performance against a $1 billion team. So, you know, I'm looking forward to see Greg back. We have a healthy rivalry, which has been good. And looking forward to continue that.
John Carlos Cordova, TV4 Mexico. Taking care about the responsibility of having a World Cup at home, as you said, do you think that we might take this one tomorrow as a chapter one of the biggest rivalry in CONCACAF with these new generations of great players that USA and Canada are developing?
It's a hard one. It's a hard one to state because, you know, I think there is rivalry. But when I look even at the Jamaican squad, for me, they've got the second best team on paper in CONCACAF. Second best team. They've got 10 tier 1 players. They're a $300 million team. I mean, on paper, they've got more to offer than Canada. So you just don't know. If Jamaica show up at this Gold Cup and win the Gold Cup and beat Canada in the final, or Mexico or US, then the narrative shifts. We've got good teams here. Good teams. I think Jamaica, Mexico are in a transitional phase, but the infrastructure, the professional league, the population. I mean, I'm expecting another Chicharito to appear in the next year or two, and everything changes for Mexico. So I would say at the moment we're in a really healthy rivalry with the top 3-4 teams in CONCACAF, and we're in the top 3 to 4 teams in CONCACAF, and our results show that.
And for tomorrow, I think it'll be more dynamic than the game against Panama. Is Alfonso ready to play more than 30 minutes, or it will depend?
We'll see tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
I will take a final question from Zoom. Please, John Molinaro. John, go ahead, please, in Zoom. It seems that John left the conversation, so I want to take one final question. Okay.
What do you see Alfonso?
Give me 1 second.
Hello. We see Alfonso Davies scoring goals. For this team, for your team, where do you see him the strongest, on defense or more on the attack? And especially against the US.
I think if Alfonso commits his mind, he can play anywhere on the field. I think he was born an attacking player. It's in his identity, his personality. He's an artist. He's a creator. So he needs to be where he can do that. For me, I've always seen Alfonso as being that sort of flexible player where, you know, if a team's going to play a high line and they're lacking pace on that back line, sometimes through those central channels, which you've seen at times in the CONCACAF qualifying, we'd play him there alongside Johnny David. And then at times, that left wing back, you know, those positions, I mean, that's his niche, that's his happy place. There's, I think, no one better in CONCACAF, and maybe around the world, he's up there in the top 5 and being able to do what he does. Probably, I don't know if there are many like him at the moment. You know, Neymar's, etc., were those dribblers, but he's, again, if he commits his mind, gets those opportunities at club level, I think there's another dimension that can come from him that he'll bring back to Canada. So for me, if you ask where I think he's best, it's whatever the game needs. If a team plays a deep line, you need to play him, you know, maybe deeper in the pitch so he can come late with his pace. If they play a high line, you might want to play him closer to the last line. If they've got slow centre-backs, play him inside. If they've got slow full-backs, play him outside. But you know, his pace and his creativity is what really gets people excited. And I'm committed to try and play him in areas where the fans can really enjoy Alfonso Davies for Canada.